Hiya, Michael. It's March 18th. So things are a little crazy with the coronavirus lately. Thought I'd bring you in the car while I disinfect. Put my hands on some Clorox wipes. Finally, took some time, but I have them, and it's time to do a little precautionary disinfecting. While I disinfect, maybe I can disabuse us of a couple assumptions while we're at it. Last time you talked about you thought maybe we were saying the same thing differently about science and philosophy being different parts of the same process, or I like to think of them as like the antecedent and consequent of a goal. One helps you establish what's going on around you and understand it clearly, and the other is less about what it is, but given what it is, what do you do? What do you do now? We both, I think, are pretty close on a lot of these general topics. We both subscribe to egalitarianism. I don't know about you, but I've already said I am roughly practical. I flirted with practical ethics, flirted with capabilities ethics, Peter Singer, Martha Nussbaum type stuff. But one thing that I think should be said is this. Things do not often pan out in real life the way we mean them to in theory, or the way we mean them to in the theory of our philosophy. In America, we really lionize George Washington, for instance, a great general that brought our country together, but at the same time, he had slaves. And that's become a point of political contention in the modern time. I was just speaking to an Argentinian friend earlier, and if you don't know the history of how the countries were formed, or at least part of how they were formed in South America, there was another general, Bolivar, and he conquered most of Spanish America and promptly destroyed a lot of people's hopes for democracy. There's the famous example of Napoleon, and these are just the generals I can think of off the top of my head from the 19th century and 18th century. As much as I am an adherent to populism and to egalitarian liberalism, I gotta tell you, I see a lot of American Democrats in this current time unwilling to give stimulus relief to the working class. Meanwhile, the famous foe of the union and the working person, the Republicans, are offering to cut a check for 4 times as much to each American. Maybe you could just say things are very topsy-turvy now, and that's as far as I'll go into current politics, I promise. All that to say, you gotta be careful what you wish for. And I think it's that lesson that young thinkers and young political hopefuls, or just interested people like you and me, need to be cautious of. It's not that we need to compromise our ethics or our political philosophy, but merely that we need to understand what's realistic and what's possible, not just in terms of winning hearts and minds, but in terms of what's actually possible and how quickly that can change, and on which side our goals may be achieved. They may be achieved to spite us and take them from us, much like Roosevelt did with some of his more liberal opponents when he basically co-opted their positions and ran to their left. I think this lesson applies to many kinds of philosophy, but I'll talk more about that when I have more time. Really enjoyed your video last time. Thanks for sending, and I can't wait to see your next video. It looks like we're all clean in here, so I'm going to sign off. See you later, buddy.